What are we doing today?
Making some breads. We're gonna make some focaccia and then some French loaf. So here's our ingredients for the focaccia. Did you get bread flour or AP flour?
Just AP.
AP flour, active dry yeast, and some, I'm sure that was the cheapest olive oil we could afford.
Yeah, that's the truth. A little bit of salt, and there's some honey activating with the yeast. It's feeding the yeast, and its byproduct is carbon dioxide and alcohol.
So we take our flour, we're gonna make a little welly well there. Watch this, Audie. I got the moves. So one perfect half tisp of salt.
Okay.
Right there. Watch.
Yeah, that's
Not one grain over, not one grain short.
definitely not.
Takes practice.
Now we need 3 tablespoons.
This might be a little tough to do, but a little oil extra. 2,
Certainly not gonna hurt it.
3.
Yeah, that looks good.
Our yeast in a little warm water. A little bit of honey to make it happy. Beauty. Now we kind of carefully, we don't want to break the sides, which I think is going to happen anyways.
Probably gonna happen.
Just get in there. Yeah, it's going to spill over.
Oh no! Doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't really matter. Focaccia, unlike French loaf, it's kind of a tender bread. So we're not gonna work it too hard or beat it up too much. Now it's coming together, but it's all crumbly like that. We just want to bring it all close to each other, like a little happy family. And just let that set for 2, 3, 4 minutes. Everything will hydrate up. It'll be a lot easier to work with when we start working this little baby. So, for the moment, I'm just gonna set my little station up here. A little bit of flour. You remember what it's called, Audie?
It's the French translation of "throw like a monkey" or something like
monkey,
that.
Yeah.
What's that?
And it's in French.
What is it?
Songer.
That's right.
Spelled like singer.
Songer. Can't make French. Well, focaccia would be Italian, no?
Italian bread with French terms.
Yeah.
In Argentinian Malbec.
Yeah, there you go. This bread is international. Okay. All right.
This is moist enough. Normally you want to let it go just a little bit longer. Still a little bit chunky. But so what I'm doing is I'm just working the bread all in towards the center there. Yeah, see it's
Yeah, you're gonna have to knead it.
No, it's just not hydrated enough yet. So that I have a nice fresh layer of dough. And you want to make it kind of tight because we're fixing to work it. So if you see down there, I'm just working it that way and using gravity to keep everything round. I just poke that little in there. Make sure your board is got some flour on it. And now what we want to do is just get enough flour so that's not tacky. And then we're going to work her. So I'm going to pushing down with some good weight. Grab this corner on the way up. Pushing down with some good weight, corner. Just like that. And it's going to take a couple minutes.
And exactly what are you developing at this point?
It's that naughty word.
What is the G word?
The G word, yeah, gluten that everybody's allergic to.
Yeah, how did we beat the Nazis in the 40s with all this gluten?
And it's super unhealthy and all those other things. You know, I'm not a nutritionist, but I'm pretty sure that's all bullshit.
Well, We don't judge anybody on this channel.
If you make bread properly, which we're not doing tonight, I'm talking the long way where you properly ferment it once you get it going, that kind of stuff. Like a proper sourdough bread,
Yeah.
it's full of nutrition. That's what people lived off of a couple thousand years ago. Our bread's not like that these days because it's all commercially made and none of it's properly fermented, even if you do it at home.
But the purpose
It
of
takes like days to do. And that's what gives it its structure. I mean, that's what makes dough, whether it's, you know, pasta or wonton skins or
yeah.
breads or whatever else.
Well, that chew that you want on bread.
That's gluten. So you can feel, I mean, you can see a texture difference, right? So I can tell still, just from that texture there, that it needs a lot more work. But you can see what I mean. It's tight, it's a solid dough now. You can kind of abuse it a little bit. And you're not gonna hurt anything as long as you're not ripping a bunch of holes in it or something like that. So the test, at least from the French guys, tug a little bit off. Kind of mash it flat like you do with bubble gum in the roof of your mouth before you blow a bubble. And then if you can see, as I pull it apart and stretch it really thin, you can see sort of a like structure, all these little stringy things stretching out and ripping open. That's our gluten formation. And since focaccia is kind of a tender bread, I don't think we want to take it much more than that right there. We need to let the yeast do its work on the bread and blow it up like a balloon. And so we just dress a little flour there so it doesn't stick. Put it in there. If you want to, you can cover it with a paper towel or a tea towel or whatever and leave it somewhere fairly warm.
Like your entire apartment.
Until it blows up. So this should probably nearly double in size before we mess with it again.
All right.
So what are we gonna do tonight?
I don't know if this reads or not, but it is definitely doubled, and it's super light.
And if you feel it, right?
Don't do anything sexual, David. Seriously.
Okay. So we're gonna need to punch the air out of there,
right?
Or the gas out of there.
That's right.
And then lay this out and lube it up real good with some delicious olive oil. Okay.
You said anything about oil?
So I'm just gonna put a little lube, just a wee bit, for now. We're gonna need to bash this up a little bit. Oh, Audie.
I know. Super tender.
Just give her a little swing. So we're gonna have to stretch it out, but at first, we gotta get the gas out. Don't be scared now.
Yeah, there's fat in this recipe.
Yeah, and I mean, technically we're not frying this dough, but we're getting pretty close to frying this dough. If you get little bubbles like that, I can tell that's one right there. You can kind of just pinch it open a little bit, mush it back down. You don't want there to be very big bubbles in the dough right now. So later on we're going to put a little more oil on here, but right now I want enough just to cover the top. Oh, it feels so good, Audie. I can't even tell you. I'm just going to square it up a little bit, and then we need to make some places for olive oil to sink into. Now, when it comes to this part, don't be afraid. Give it some some serious lube. Spread that around a little bit if you have to. Everything needs to be lubed well. Have like actual puddles of olive oil there. Nice and liberal with the salt, and from up high, so you get good coverage there. A little pepper. Oven, 400 degrees. As close to the center of the oven as you can get it. And then we're just gonna keep an eye on it. It's gonna puff up, which is what we're looking for. It's gonna start darkening in color, which is what we're looking for. Absorbing the olive oil, which is what we're looking for.
Right.
Make sure it's cooked the way through, which is about 210, 212 degrees internal temperature. If it's steaming, you can be pretty sure it's cooked. And then a nice little crusty top, or at least brown top. And then, yeah, Bob's your auntie. Yeah, you do it. Old and dude.
Yes.
This beauty. Just gonna rip a piece off. A little crusty on the outside. Nice and moist with the olive oil. Nice tender bread. It's just little bubbles, nice and tender.
That's real good.
Let's make a bowl of stew.
Yeah.
A bunch of bread. Oh, this is gonna be jerk off material for like a week.
I just recorded that.
Beef stew, some delicious bread, delicious glass of wine. What more could you ask for?
All right, here we
Salute,
go.
pal.
Cheers.
Oh, it's gonna be really hot, temperature hot.
So good.
You give you a little chubby.
That's so good.
It's arousing. Oh. Alright. Give it a try. Enjoy it. I'm hungry. It's time to eat dinner.